Welcome back to another episode of Casa de Confidence. Today, I have Jill Schultz with me, and she's coming to us live from San Diego, which is one of my favorite places in the world. If you've never, excuse me, been to San Diego, my friends, you got to make it there. And more importantly, you need to make sure that you connect with Jill. I am excited to be able to deep dive into a little bit of her story. And, like she says, unashamed, unleash your true self. She's going to talk a little bit about this. So, Jill, tell us a little bit about your life. You said something to me earlier that you were a nanny. What was the path between being a nanny and then all of a sudden doing what you're doing? Give us a little glimpse into that journey.
Well, it's funny because I was telling you that I don't have children, and I think it's because I was a nanny that cured me from wanting to have children. But yeah, I was right in your neck of the woods. I lived with a family in Darien for a couple months, and we decided we did not like each other. And then I moved to a family in Rowayton, so
Mm,
close to you in Connecticut. But
yep.
my path has been California was always my end game, and so I finally got down to San Diego when I turned 30. I've been here 25 years. I can't believe it's been 25 years. And
Wow. Times
yeah,
fly when you're having fun, Jill.
oh, yes, and blessed. Like I still wake up every day and go, I get to live here. Like it's such a beautiful place. So yes, come visit.
Hmm.
I have plenty of room. But
Yeah.
my story really started when I was around 3 or 4 years old. And
Mhm.
I don't know if you want me to dive right
Yeah,
in.
you can dive right
Okay.
in. I love just the fact that you're being honest and open. I think that sometimes, we skirt about challenging topics, but I'd love for you to be able to just share a little bit more about you.
Thank you. Well, um, I was molested when I was 3 or 4 years old,
Mm,
and um, you know, you may or may not have sexual trauma in your history, but what one thing that I find holds people back is everybody has a secret.
mm,
Everybody has a secret that they have that's stopping them from their being their fantastic, fabulous self. And so I encourage people to look at their secret, whether it's cheating on a spouse or maybe you stole a lollipop when you were 5 years old that you're still not over, or, whatever that may
mm,
be. If you aren't sharing that and talking about it and getting it out, because shame cannot live in the light. And
mm.
for 41 years, I lived with this dark cloud, and I literally saw it as a dark cloud over my head that followed me everywhere I went.
Wow.
And at 41 years later, God and I decided, mostly him telling me, and I don't know if you believe in God or not.
I
If you don't,
do. I
that's fine.
do.
Okay. um, he decided that I get to share my story. And for those of you who are listening right now, this is not a PG story. It is hard. And so, but I get to see it as a gift now, because now I get to share. And my hope is to help people know that if you have a similar story to mine, you're not alone. Because I thought I
Mm.
was the only little girl who ever acted out the way that I acted out. So you're not alone. You get to forgive yourself. You get to love yourself. So um, being molested at a young age, I don't remember who did it. I don't know who did it. But what happened afterwards is the conversation that people aren't having. And I was the little girl who innocently and curiously acted out sexually with other children because of what somebody taught me to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm here to say that, once again, you're not alone if this is your story. And I just need to take a quick pause here, if you don't mind, because this is a topic that people don't talk about. If this is your story and this is the first time that you're like, I don't know if do you swear on here or not? Can
You
you swear?
can. You can.
Okay.
I like
Okay.
Jesus. I love him, but I do have a little potty mouth. So
I do too. And I love me some Jesus too, but I swear, and it's a hard topic. So, if this is the first time that you're hearing somebody else say that they have your story, I want to take a pause and I want to honor you.
mm,
And I want you to know that I see you. I feel you and I see you. And this gets to be a pivotal point in your life where you get to know that talking about it will set you free.
I'm
And
so glad you're saying that, because I think that there's so many taboo subjects in this world, and so many times that we don't talk about things because there is so much shame attached to the secrets, to the inner things that have happened, that sometimes we feel so alone. We think we are the only ones. And I'm so glad that you are giving people the time to honor them, to honor themselves for having the story. And really, the past is not something that we need to be sitting here begrudging, but we should be knowing that it created a gift for us today, that there's something that we can do about it.
yeah, and one thing that I found to be so beautiful, like I've done therapy, I've done
Hmm.
landmark education. I recently have done a program called Hardcore Leadership and Hardcore PhD. And this is really where you really get to look in the mirror and
Hmm.
see the things inside you that you're trying to heal. And I remember going to therapy, I'd be walking into the office with the therapist and my stomach would just be in knots,
Mm,
me knowing that I had to share this story to get it out of me and
yeah.
thinking, what are they going to think of me? Are they going to kick me out of their office? Are they going to think I'm a monster, a pedophile? Because
Hmm.
at 12 years old, those were the thoughts that I had. I thought I was a
Wow.
monster and a pedophile. And
Mm,
I need you to know that every single time I have shared my story, the level of kindness and compassion and love that has
mm,
been on the other side of me sharing that is has blown me away. And
yeah.
so I need for, if this is you, if this is your story, I need you to find somebody to talk to. You need to get it out. And
Yeah.
I've written a book. It's called Liberated, and it'll be out at the end of September. And as I was writing the book, I was talking to my editor and I'm like, do I even need to write this story anymore? Because I've
Hmm.
said it so many times, it's
Yeah.
lost all its power over me. So
Hmm.
please find somebody to talk to. There's lots of different resources like RAIN, or there's a incest
Yeah.
survivors organization.
Hmm.
So just please talk about it.
Thank you again for sharing the story. And we are going to have some of these resources available for the listeners, because it is a sensitive topic. But more importantly, I love that you said the story doesn't have power over you, even though you had an incredible amount of guilt and shame and all of these different things that you carried. And I picture 12-year-old you walking into that office with so many um, luggage and baggage and things that weigh you down. But now you are helping to liberate others, and redefining, helping other people redefine what this looks like. Um, what was the first step in you healing in
Yeah.
as a 12-year-old?
Yeah. So I didn't start therapy until I was 33.
Hmm.
And so from that time, I'm 12 to 30. Well, seriously, the time from 12 to 52, I cloud of shame, but it was a long process for me. And so that's another reason why I really want to share my story, because I want
Hmm.
to collapse time for people. But
Yeah.
I wasn't connecting with men. And I like into a room and a man would look at me and I'd immediately look down. Like I did not
Wow.
want a man to see me. I
Mm,
thought if a man knew what I had done, how could he love me? And now I'm
yeah.
like, how could he not love me knowing what I've been through, like,
Right.
and I'm dating and I'm looking for my person right now, wink wink. Um,
Mm,
but
sounds
but th-
good.
therapy was the first step in looking at all of this. And I started that when I was around 33 years old.
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest things that I encourage individuals, if you have been dealing with, trauma with a big T, little t, it's trauma nonetheless, but speak to somebody, because there's power in liberating ourselves, because sometimes people don't realize that they're not alone. And that's the one thing that, and really some of these secrets really thrive in darkness, really thrive in secrecy. Whereas when you start to really diffuse the conversation, it can help you see that you're not broken. And that's what I think a lot of people think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Jill, for you, this has been a journey, and again, you wrote a book. I'd love to deep dive into the process of writing a book because you alluded that, hey, I don't want to share the story again because I've talked about it. Do I have to? So many people maybe can identify with the process that you went through in writing a book. Tell me a little bit more about that. What was that like? And how did it come about that you decided to write your book and now you're getting it out into the world?
Yeah. So last summer when I was in this PhD program, I was like, why? I remember driving around last April going, what the
Mhm.
fuck am I doing here? Like, I have several businesses. I love what I do, but I felt like I've had no purpose. And I've been praying for my purpose for a long time.
Mm,
And then God slapped me upside the head and said, you get to share this story. This is your purpose in life. And so, as soon as I finally submitted to that, and my word for this last year has been surrender. But
mm,
when I finally submitted to that, I started sharing my story with friends. Well, first of all, the only thing that I wanted to do was get on stages and just shout my message from the rooftop. I'm like, I want to set people free. And a really good friend of mine is a speaker, and I told him, I want to get on stages. He goes, if you want to get on stages, you got to write a book. And I'm like,
mm.
I don't want to write a book.
Yeah.
But I started sharing my story. And as I shared my story, it was surprising the number of people that said, that's my story too. So
Mm,
in my book, I have about 15 different chapters,
okay.
and 13 of those are other people's stories.
Amazing.
So it was really beautiful, how everything has, there's been miracle after miracle after miracle as this whole thing has unfolded. And like I said, my word for the year has been surrender, because I still had, I still had to talk to my family. I still had lots of things that I needed to clean up in order for this book to really
Hmm.
be something that I felt comfortable doing. And so every time an obstacle comes up, I'm like, this is your mess. You figure it out.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
the whole pathway has just been paved smoothly. Just, it keeps opening up and keeps opening up and keeps opening up. So that's been my process for the book, is just, surrender. And
Surrender. Such a
yeah.
good word. My
Oh, it's
word.
such a hard word.
It's a
Oh,
hard word too, but it's a good word
yeah,
because,
it's
by
a
the
good word.
way, and I know that you talk about this as a speaker, how we grow when we're out of our comfort zone, and sometimes we need to surrender that we're going to be in that messy middle, or that we're going to be in that spot. And I know that it took a lot of courage and bravery. I know the answer to this because, well, I think I know where I get my strength from, and I would imagine for you is the same. But as you were going to have some challenging in what people would call difficult conversation, but courageous conversations with your family, where did you find the courage and bravery to bring up difficult topics with them as you were getting ready to write the book?
Yeah, my family and I are really close, really close. And
Mhm.
especially my parents, I knew that it would be a hard conversation to have, because, when your child is abused, sorry, I have
Mhm.
an itch.
No,
When your
you're
child
good.
is when your child is abused, you automatically blame yourself, and
Mhm.
it's like, how could
Yeah.
this have happened? We watched you all the time, but sadly, it's mostly a family member, that a
Hmm.
friend or family member that's doing the abusing. So you can't watch your kids all the time. But I knew that especially my dad would be 100% behind
Hmm.
me doing this, because he knew that it was going to help so many people, and he knew that this is what God was calling me to do. And my
Hmm.
mom too. It was harder on my mom. I think she blamed herself um significantly, so
Yeah. I think that there's such an important lesson here that it's not about blame, because that's what a lot of people tend to do in circumstances like that. They start to blame, and by the way, I know individuals who have gone through the process of sexual abuse and molestation, and when they share with their families, they're not received in the same way. What's your advice for someone listening that maybe did have the opportunity and found the courage to have these brave conversations and yet was not received with the support? What are some of the advice that you have for them?
oh gosh, find somebody else. find a support group. And I find that for this type of healing, it can happen more quickly when it's in a group setting, because you're seeing people that have gone through similar things, especially, when it's something that's this shameful and you think you're the only person. When you can find a community that actually there's many people that are there, I think the healing happens more quickly. And I don't know if you have this information, but I do have a Facebook group where people collectively can come and be part of. It's called Living Unshamed. So, if I can be, right, isn't that good? If
It
I
is
can be a
good.
support for you, please come. But any of the other resources that you have, and this is a hard question for me to ask, because I come up against anybody that it has not been received in a loving, supportive way. That's a good question for me to ponder, though, because I really want to be able to have that an answer available for people if that's their situation, because I realize not everybody's situation is like mine.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you see yourself as someone who in your life you have used the power of really intentionality, manifesting better things to come your way? And how do people kind of leverage that into the world, into what they're doing?
I love manifesting. Like, it is my favorite thing to do. And I think when you can get your secret out and it's no longer something that's holding you back, like I told you, I just see this black cloud. I look for that cloud and it's gone. And now I have this blank canvas where I get to create anything and everything that I want in my life, because my true belief, and I don't know if you know who Amanda Francis is.
I've heard the name, but I'm not familiar. So share with the listeners who this is.
Yeah, she wrote a book called Rich as Fuck. She's a manifesting queen.
Okay.
And she, I listened to a podcast that she had a long time ago, and she said, every desire on your heart was given to you by God, and it's yours to have. Like, let's think. I have a vision board next to me here, and I've got a lot on it. I have a house in Tahoe. I have my private jet. I have my yacht. I have all the things.
Amazing.
And I believe I can have those things. I don't have a fishing boat on there because I don't want a fishing boat.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that getting into a space of manifesting and meditation, it's my favorite morning practice. And it really is where I feel closest to God. I get to be in this childlike, playful, daydreaming energy, and I get to co-create my life with God. And I'm actually manifesting things very quickly right now. And I also think that comes from the surrender too, because when you can get in a space of surrender, I think it opens you up for a massive space of receiving.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you have this morning practice. I know that it's been life-changing for me. Many people don't have the time, and at times feel like, oh, well, I don't have time for that, and I have to get the kids to work, and you and I are childless, so people will look at us and like, well, you have all the time in the world.
You don't get it.
Yeah. What can individuals who maybe are pressed for time or have other commitments, or individuals that they support, what are other ways in which maybe individuals can find the way to practice that manifestation, that really being able to create that vision of themselves that can help them as they go through their life?
Yeah, well, you can do that at any time of the day. It doesn't have to be in the morning. You can do it driving in the car. You can do it standing in line at the grocery store. The two important things that I've learned is saying it, like, what do you want? And then feeling that it's happened. Asking yourself, what would it feel like if I had that? And then really stepping into that feeling, because that is what brings it to you, that feeling of knowing that it's already here. And gratitude. Be in gratitude all day. Always be thanking God, source, universe, whatever you believe in, whatever you call it. Always be thanking, like, thank you, God. I am so excited that I'm sitting on my private yacht right now in the south of France. Like, thank you, God, that I'm helping people, change lives. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude.
Tell me a story of someone that you worked with that through some of the work that you did together, their life changed, and how did they go from where they were to the place that it was transformational for them.
Thank you. So I have a couple of stories, and these are people who have contributed to my book. Scott, in my book, really only shared his story 6 years ago with a
Mhm.
therapist. And some of the things that he shares in my book, he hadn't even shared with his therapist. And so it's, and I've sent the book off to editing, and then I had each contributor read their chapter because I wanted them to be okay with everything that was said. And he said that reading his chapter, because I hired a ghostwriter to write the book for me because I'm not a writer. I knew I would never get done. So having the words be not his, but in somebody else's voice allowed him to have this level of compassion for this little boy
Mm.
that was him, that he never had afforded himself before because he hadn't seen himself in that way. So it was just another
Interesting.
level of healing for him, and then another level of acceptance,
Mhm.
and another level of gratitude for the healing. So
Yeah.
this book has been a healing opportunity for all the contributors, as well as for me, and as well as I hope for the reader.
I think that, healing is always a process. There's many times in which we were wounded humans, where that's part of the human experience. And we think that maybe, oh, this time I'm over it. But the pain of loss, the pain of whatever, right? Insert your pain doesn't change. It just evolves. It hurts, or you become aware of that in a different way. I'm so, touched to hear that the opportunity to heal is part of the process for the individuals who were part of your book. How did you choose the people that were going to participate? How did you narrow it down? My book is very similar. I don't talk about I talk about the stories of individuals who have inspired me to create the right habits to be more confident, and that framework. Individuals did not write the chapters, I did, but I really sat down and made a list of what was impactful for me. Who are the people that really created that impact for me? I wonder for you, what was the process of elimination, or how did you say, hey, let's get these stories in this book?
But
Because every stories matter. So I'd love to hear your process.
yeah, it makes me giggle a little bit because I didn't choose.
Okay.
I
I,
didn't
I
choose.
love that.
They found me. God handpicked each person and
Mm,
delivered them to me in a special way. And my friend PJ, who is the speaker who told me I needed to write a book, so a few of them came from him, and because he's a coach, and so he
mhm,
talks to people and knows a lot of people. And then the other people came about because I was sharing my story with them. As soon as I decided to write the book, I wanted to immediately tell all of my friends what was going on, because I didn't want them to see a book here and be like, what's going on here?
yeah.
So I vulnerably shared my story with about 40 people.
Mhm,
And out of that, that's where these other people came from. And I told you I've done hardcore leadership, and I've done
mhm,
the PhD program. Shanda Sumter is the hardcore organization. And in that community, there were a lot of people who were
mm,
Me Too's. So
yeah.
they are people that are in the book as well.
How do
Yeah.
people support individuals? So perhaps maybe this is not their story, Jill, and they have someone that they're close to, whether it be a friend, a partner, a spouse, and they have that story. They have the shame that they're living with every day, and they seem to be in the spiral, because a lot of individuals tend to be caught up in the spiral. They kind of go through, and but it comes back. It's something that the wound is very deep and has not even began to heal. How does someone who is a spouse or the partner or someone significant in life help someone through this?
Yeah. So you really need to ask them if they want help, because if they don't want help, it's not going to matter anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And finding somebody that they can talk to, that they feel comfortable with sharing with, is going to be
Hmm.
the number one thing to do. And but yeah, I'd say the number one thing is making sure that they want help, because if they don't, then you're just going to be spinning your wheels.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
One of the chapters in my book, my old therapist actually in the book, and he talks about that too. He talks about, just making sure that this person wants help and not enabling them, like not setting the appointment for them unless they specifically say to
Yeah.
you, I really want to set this appointment. I haven't been able to do it. Can you do that for me? But making sure that you're not doing all of the work for them.
Hmm. Yeah. Healing is personal. And I think that there's a different timeline. We can share our stories because I think that it helps to normalize that we're not alone in the healing process. But I do believe that healing is very personal and that we all have to kind of navigate the waters of healing on our own and on our own timeline as well. I think that that's one of the things that people sometimes neglect about the healing process. But you're right. People have to take ownership. They have to be ready. We can't push someone into healing. We need to give them the opportunity to choose and to take that brave first step.
Yeah.
So you're manifesting a lot of really, really cool stuff. This may be a controversial question because, by the way, I have a vision board and it's got some really kick-ass, big, awesome stuff too. I watched Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett, who is, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He's one of in England, they don't have Shark Tank. They have the Dragon's Den, and he's one of the
Okay.
dragons.
Okay.
Self-made millionaire, came from nothing and at 25 became a multimillionaire. One of the things that he had, I can't remember. He was a C-level executive for Google for many years. I know I've talked about him on the podcast and it's escaping me the name right now, but they were talking about happiness. So here are two big millionaires who are talking about happiness, and they're talking about how, the research shows that at $75,000, when we can pay our bills comfortably, that's the threshold for happiness. But yet, when we move on past that, if you ask someone that makes $100,000 and they say, "What do you want more?" They'll say, "I want 200,000." If you're talking to a millionaire, they'll say, "I want 2 millions." If you're talking to someone who, it's close to billions, but not there yet, will say, "I want $1 billion." So there's always that human nature of wanting more. What defines happiness for you?
It's not money.
Hmm.
Money doesn't define happiness.
Yeah.
But money's right up there with oxygen. It sure helps.
It sure helps. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so glad you said that. I say that all the time. Money doesn't
Yeah.
bring happiness, but it
Yeah.
does help.
Yeah.
It does
No,
help us stay in our purpose.
yeah, and I don't want I think it's really important that we stop having the stigma around it's bad to make a lot of money, because the more
Agreed.
money I make, the more people I get to help. And
Oh,
so
so glad you
I
said
have
that.
massive financial goals for myself, but it's not about the money for me. It's
Hmm.
about the people that I get to help
Yeah.
along the way. Like
Yeah.
once I finally got slapped across the face with my purpose, from God,
Yes.
it's like, okay, this is why I'm here. And this is what I talked about, last April, I was driving around and I didn't have a suicidal thought. I just thought, why the fuck am I here? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not contributing to anything. I feel like I'm not, really making a difference in anybody's life. Like I have a couple other businesses. I do event planning and I do wine. I mean, those make people happy, but food and wine makes people happy. But I wasn't to the core of my being. I was just like, why am I here? But now, like stepping
Yeah.
into your purpose, that's what's going to make you happy. And I know there's a lot of people out there with a lot of money that are very, very unhappy.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
really,
I'm so glad you said that. I totally agree with you that, that thing, right? When we find our purpose and for me, the more money I have, the more that I can make choices that help. My mom was sick at the beginning of the year. The fact that I could say, "Hey, I can be there for her. I can be at the
Yeah.
hospital with her and not worry. And I think that that's the people that, we need to stop villainizing money and having money, because our goal, I love to serve. When I have more money, I can contribute more to other organizations that are doing the work that I'm passionate about. So that is so great.
Yeah. And
Um,
surround yourself with people who have those thoughts. Like, do you
mhm.
do coaching? Do you
I
coach?
do. I do. I
Okay.
coach. Yeah.
Get some coaching with this wonderful lady, because you
Thank
have
you.
that mentality right now,
Yeah.
surround yourself with people who think like that. All of the people in my coaching programs, we
Hmm.
truly believe to the core of our souls that money's not bad, that making more
Yeah.
money, we get to help more people. So I'm surrounded by that all the time. If you're
Yeah. Me
not,
too.
find
No.
somebody that can support you in that, because
Yeah.
money's awesome.
Oh, 100%. And I think that surrounding yourself, and I think that this is a key lesson, and we talk about this on the show a lot. Surround yourself. Who are your people? Who are the people that make you better? I actually made a post about this Saturday night, because I was sitting outside looking at the birds and seeing my dogs play in the yard. I was having a nice glass of wine. And I just thought, I'm incredibly grateful, because I moved to Connecticut from New York City, and I have some incredible friends, some wonderful women that have poured into me. And when I look at them, I think, wow, these women are rock stars. And how am I in their universe? And I am just incredibly grateful. And I think that this is really the atmosphere that creates a better world for everyone, is if we find the people that we want to be like, and the people that make us better, inspire us, is super important.
Yeah. I remember a very pivotal point in my life. I was at Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power
Mhm,
Within.
mhm,
And I was sitting there and I had this light bulb moment of, you need to get into communities that
mhm.
people are big thinkers.
Yeah.
And I joined an organization called EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. It's a huge international organization. And I
Mhm.
really started up leveling. Find people that inspire you
Yeah.
and sit down with them and ask them, what is their secret? What did they do to
Yeah.
get here? Because the saying is, you're like the five
The
people that you
five
hang
people.
around
Yeah,
with.
absolutely. Jim Rohn said that all the time. And
Yep.
I firmly believe that. I do not. And by the way, I want to be not the smartest person in the room, because I'm in that wrong room, like you talk about.
Yeah.
I love to just sometimes have these conversations and realize, like, wait a minute, this person is teaching me something really important. And I think that's the one thing that we hope that we can continue to do. You talked about wine, Jill. Tell me about your favorite wine. And for someone who, because I know there's a lot of people out there who, maybe they're not a red drinker, they're not a white drinker, but how do you explore and have an open mind, and really not become a wine snob, but a wine connoisseur?
Yes. You asked me what's my favorite, and I say this. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
It's better to ask
Oh,
me
we
what I
belong to the
don't
same
like.
wine club, I see.
It's better to ask me what I don't like, because
Okay.
wine is magic. Wine is art. I mean,
Mm.
I was always ABC, anything but Chardonnay,
Oh,
until I had like a buttery oaky Chardonnay,
right.
until I had it paired with a magnificent crab cake.
That
And
sounds
then that's
amazing.
all I wanted to eat the rest of the night. So for me,
Mm.
it's really about the pairing. If I had to pick one varietal, I would say Red Zen is my probably absolute favorite.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Actually, I was looking at my memories today. You know how your phone shows your memories.
Yes.
This weekend. It's going to be 5 years. Who knows? I can't believe it. 5 years ago, I was in that Indian River Valley region for wine, in upstate, in Washington State. It was so wonderful. We had a
Mm.
wonderful time. And even last night, not Sunday, my girlfriend and I took her mom and her mother-in-law. We went out to a winery, and just New Connecticut has humble wineries, but some of them are delightful and really great, and produce some wonderful varietals too. So that I love that. Your book is coming out then at the end of September. Where can people find it? What's the name of the book? I know that we have it on the show notes, but I'd love for you to share that as well.
Yes, thank you. It's called Liberated. And you can find anything about me on my website. It's jilleschultz.com. And there's a book pre-sale on there. There's also, you had asked me earlier if there was anything that I wanted to share. And
Mhm.
if you do have something that you're ashamed of, I have 7 critical steps to releasing shame. So
Great.
you can get that on my website. There's also another worksheet, uncovering your shame. And the question
Mm,
that I love the most on there is, what's a secret that only you and God know? Like that gives me
beautiful.
chills every time I think of it. So
Mm,
there's resources on there like that. So if you want to really dig in and start doing some work around your shame,
mhm.
those are 2 great worksheets to do. But come join me in my Facebook group, and I'd love to support you any way that I can. Like this is my life's mission now. So
Amazing.
come find me.
Amazing.
Come
I
see.
am going to make sure that everybody's got the show notes and everybody's got the
Mhm.
information. JillESchultz.com is where you can find Jill. Also, I want you to know that she's got some great resources, and also for anybody who's been affected by sexual trauma and needs support and assistance, you can contact RAIN, which is an organization, the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network, and is the largest anti-sexual violence organization. And it operates to be able to help individuals, and in partnership with local sexual assault providers throughout. So please make sure that you contact their helpline, which is 1-800-656-HOPE. And we will have that information for everyone. Please make sure, that secrets are something that can be liberated. You can be liberated from. You're not alone. And Jill is a prime example of what amazing things can blossom from some of the pain, some of the shame, if you allow yourself to come and find the right resources and connect with the people that can help you along the way. Thank you so much for being here, Jill. Will you come back again? Will you
Oh my
share?
gosh, yes, let's do it.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
please.
Amazing.
Just on the website, there's a get help link that
Yep.
has several different resources.
Great.
There's also a meditation on there. So if you're
Ooh,
healing, yeah, and I'm going to be adding a
beautiful.
couple more. There's a healing meditation on there too. So if you want to
Amazing.
check that out, yeah. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for having me. This has been absolutely lovely
Oh
spending
my
time with
God,
you.
you are a superstar. Thank you for being a part of the
Yeah.
show, and Jill for sharing, something so sensitive. I do appreciate your candidness today. It has been phenomenal to have you here to share. And don't forget, my friend, go confidently in the direction of your dreams.